Thanks for staying with us. Now, starting Monday, December 17, 2018, all validated small-scale miners would be required to have tracking devices installed in their earth-moving equipment as a key requirement for them to go back to their concessions and mine. This comes after government officially announced the lifting of the close 2-year-old ban on all forms of small-scale mining across the country. As part of the recommendations in the new policy framework, illegal miners, popularly known as galamseyers, will now be put into groups to do communal mining with strict monitoring by drone and personnel from the Minerals Commission. There's more in the following report.
Having successfully implemented the strategies outlined in the roadmap, the ban on small-scale mining is being lifted as from Monday, 17 December.
On the ground fight against galamsey under the Akufo-Addo-led administration started on 31st July 2017 when government deployed a 400-man police cum military task force to tackle the menace head-on. Experts have said that although some successes have been chalked, a lot more work remains to be done in eliminating galamsey, clearing the water bodies and reclaiming the degraded lands. Speaking at the event to outdoor government's new policy framework on regularizing mining activities in Ghana, Chair of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabna Frimpong Boateng, outlined the new policy explaining who qualifies to go back to site.
Lifting of the ban will allow mining companies with valid company registration certificates, valid permits and licenses from the regulatory authorities, Minerals Commission, EPA, and Water Resources Commission, tax identification numbers, companies who have had their mining equipment licensed and electronically tagged by DVLA, and whose concessions have been vetted and given a QR code to go back to work. Mining equipment, especially excavators and bulldozers that have not been licensed by DVLA and tagged with electronic devices will not be permitted for mining purposes, small-scale mining purposes. All mining companies are expected to have at least one person that has been trained in sustainable mining in Takwa. This is very important. Having said what the ban means, let me say what the ban does not mean. The lifting of the ban does not mean that the ban on galamsey has been lifted and that they can go back to work. Galamsey is still illegal.
The National Association of Small-Scale Miners, who were the hardest hit during the ban, could not hide their joy. Secretary of the group, Godwin Ama, promised the association will work closely with Operation Vanguard team to drive out illegal miners at the various mining sites.
In the coming years, the Ghana National Association will deploy a task force both at the national and then the local level to augment government's efforts to continually raid the small-scale mining space of recalcitrant and unpatriotic illegal miners. Just like yesterday, whilst we were preparing to attend this all-important program, some Chinese miners were busily degrading our lands at Ankam in the Mansu area. However, our task force has stopped them and brought them to the interministerial committee to be given to the appropriate agency for further investigation. NAZIM will effectively implement our peer review mechanism to promote sustainable mining. We will also identify and register prospective small-scale miners and show the way for them to mine responsibly.
As part of the new policy, government is deploying drones to monitor activities of the small-scale miners, and a representative of the men who will be manning the drone, Nana Benyim Franklin, assured they will justify the president's trust in them.
Not only have we been trained to man drones for monitoring purposes, but we have also received basic military training at the Sichare military camp to help the process. On behalf of my colleagues, I would like to assure you, His Excellency, and all Ghanaians that we shall not betray the trust and confidence reposed in us. We shall work hard to justify the investment made in us. It is by living up to expectations can we all have a better tomorrow and envisioned by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic.
Meanwhile, the list of validated miners will be published in the media on Monday, December 17, 2018, giving permission to miners to resume work.
Let's stay on this issue a while longer because President of the concerned Small-Scale Miners Association, Michael Kwadwo-Pepra, is asking government to intensify its monitoring activities if it hopes to win the fight against illegal mining in the country. According to him, the remoteness of the various enforcement agencies from the mining concessions is a major contributing factor to continuous illegal mining. Whilst commending government for lifting the ban on small-scale mining, Kwadwo-Pepra says the new mining policy introduces nothing new except the ban on the use of mercury. He spoke a while ago on The Pulse.
I think first and foremost we should just thank the government for at least lifting the ban after the 2-year ban placement on small-scale mining. It's been a hard time for us, and it's been a lesson well learned for all small-scale miners. And I don't think that the problems that we faced or what we caused in the beginning that brought about the ban will continue. But we will see a change, and small-scale mining will be done in a way that wouldn't destroy the environment and the water. But
okay.
There's going to be a lot of change, because at first, the problem that we were faced with was monitoring. Because if you should get your license from a car, Minerals Commission will be in a car, EPA will be in a car, school lands will be in a car. And at the end of the day, you take your license and you go to the various villages or the district without any proper monitoring. You don't expect a holy job done. And that brought about this illegal activities and people just flouting the law and doing whatever they want to do. But the government has assured us that at least he has demonstrated enough goodwill for the fight against Galamsey by bringing the vanguard, by bringing the drones, by making sure small-scale miners have been trained in Takwa School of Mines. And in so doing that, I think we've learned a lot.
Okay.
And now going to the field, things will be done right than before. Almost 90% of the new framework for the policy they are trying to enroll it was something that is in the constitution already. It's something that is part
It's nothing new for you. It's nothing new.
It's nothing new because one, with the ban on the mercury, I think that's the only thing that was new, that the government wants to take it to Parliament for a new amendment. Because even in the Constitution, the two Constitution on mining, the Mining Act states that somebody who has this requisite license can purchase a mercury of a gram in order to mine. So if government wants to ban the mercury, I think that is the only new thing that we had in the framework. So if government is in its quest to fight Galamsey, we introduce all these things. That is the only new thing. But aside that, all those things we have been talking about with the monitoring, because there are jobs that needs to be done with the monitoring agency. What is the job of the EPA? What is the job of the Minerals Commission? What is the job of the dissect? They need to make sure we enforce the already existing law. And that is what I think the government is trying to do. But for me, in my aspect or in my view, I think it's something that is already in existence. But we only lack the will to enforce
to implement them.
So that was President of the Small-Scale Miners Association, Kwadwo-Pepra, speaking earlier to my colleague Gifty Ando-Apia. Now, so what successes have been chalked in the fight against Galamsey 20 months after the ban was imposed, and does that warrant the lifting of the ban? One person who has been keeping a close eye on this issue is Ken Ashigbe. He is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, and he joins us via Skype with his perspective on government's decision. Good evening and many thanks for your time, Ken.
Thank you very much.
Now, it's been 20 months of campaigning against illegal mining practices. When the ban was imposed, government says it has achieved some level of success, and of course we cannot underestimate the role of the media in this particular fight. But from where you sit as convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, how would you rate the outcome of the measures taken to combat this problem?
Well, I think we have to fight against that. It's a war. So battles that are war. And so some of the people have been won, some of the people have been lost. But there's still a lot of time left to be done. Some of the battles, the fact that most of the practice water have closed some of them because of the effect of it. Well, some of the water is not where we Operation Vanguard came. There were some arrests that were just in terms of the prescription. Just about 10% were lost. The Chinese influence on those activities really not been sorted out. The land bank ahead of us, the cleaning of water, but you know, generally the awareness later. It's important that now the media I have seen the speech that I was there, but I don't have the documents, the politics. The media needs to get and read it, reason, understand who is responsible for what is to do it.
Unfortunately, the line to Ken Ashigbe is not that good. It's inaudible. We'll try and fix that line and get back to Ken Ashigbe on these issues and more. But you're watching JoyNews Prime with me, Arabo Kumsi. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to JoyNews Prime with me, Arabo Kumsin, and we were discussing the fight against Galamsey. Earlier we were speaking to Ken Ashigbe. He is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, and he joins us on the phone now for more of his perspective on the latest development, which is that government has announced the lifting of the ban after 20 months of campaigning against illegal mining. Ms. Ashigbe, you were making the point about the successes that we have chalked, if any.
Saying that this fight is a war, and it's a war made up of several battles. Some of the battles we have won, some of them we have lost, and there's still a lot more battles ahead of us. So typically, you're talking about the fact that the water level, the turbidity of the water was worse at the close of 2016, at the beginning of 2017, when we started it around September, October, you found out that the turbidity in some of the waters improved. The extent that Ghana Water was able to start operating some of these plants. Yes, we have gone back on some of them. Operation Vanguard also came in and did a lot of arrests. But I think fundamental in terms of the successes are the fact that the media, with the work that you did, you know, there was a lot of awareness created. You created a platform for the president to be able to demonstrate political courage in the presence of all the political blackmailers. And it's one of the major successes that we can see that can be chalked. The Ministerial Committee also came up. They have done their work up to this point. Operation Vanguard came to the arrest. Unfortunately, one of the battles we lost was the justice delivery system. We've only done 10% of the prosecution of these people. The Chinese influences have really not been dealt with. We are recording over 80% of foreigners arrested being Chinese people, and they introduced the Changfans and aggravated the mining on the rivers themselves and its concomitant effect. So
now, it's interesting, Mr. Ashigbe, it's interesting that you talk about the Chinese national. You are on record as saying the Chinese nationals are the conveyor belts of galamsey. Explain
Yes.
what you mean by that.
Well, you see, what happened was that the technology that has been used primarily for this illegality has come from the Chinese. The Champans, they brought the technology in. They brought in a lot of the excavators as well. And then they come in under the guise of providing mining services for these small scale, even for those who have licenses, who then will go and give it to these people. They take 80% of the proceeds of what they do, and then they would give the locals 20% to do. And in all you find out that in terms of the numbers of arrests that have been made, the Chinese are making about 14% compared to every arrest that have been made. But when you want to zero in on foreigners, they make about 84% of the arrests that have been made. And it tells you that if you leave them out, there's no way you're going to be solving it. You remember very recently in one of the JoyNews, one of the stories that you did about the arrest in this forest preserve. It's 16 Chinese were arrested in that place. Then look at the devastation and the damage that it is that they have caused. We know that government has now asked that the Chinese also get visas from China before coming into Ghana. But we know that a lot of them also come to these neighboring countries and are smuggled in. But as we even talk about Chinese and foreigners, we should bear in mind that they don't just come on their own. There are Ghanaians who are recruiting them and bringing them in. So definitely we are also complicit. But the challenge also for me in terms of what we've lost is that in as much as we want to hold politicians to account, the government to account, the technocrats that have also been employed, that are supposed to be working, I think it's high time we also held them to account. An example of that thing that happened, the video you pushed us about the forest reserve. Where was the district forestry manager? Where was the regional forestry manager? Even the CEO of the forestry commission. So these people have been working for over a year and nothing, is done to them. So it's time that we all get a copy of the policy document that they are talking about now. Make sure as media you peruse it properly, know who is responsible for what they are supposed to do, when they are supposed to do it, and hold them to account.
Very well. But one of the many ways government says it is adopting to monitor activities of the miners is the use of drones. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's interesting. At the launch, I saw a few of these drones. I am hoping that the capacity of these drones that have been brought are drones that are of very high capacity, drones that can fly long durations. I hear them talking about the fact that some of the drones have night vision goggles. That is very important. But we should be mindful of what quality of drones it is that we're using and the data that they are providing. And I would also hope that they would run very open systems such that various stakeholders can also at least get only read-only access to what it is that they're doing, so that we are able to bring a lot of stakeholders involved in the managing of it, so that we don't get people being compromised. Bear in mind, Operation Vanguard have done a great job, but even within that, we found a few of the Operation Vanguard people who are military people who are paid better salary being compromised. And now you're going to introduce this young people who have just left school who are on, I think it's at 700 and something thousand, 100 cedis a month. So if you don't have very strong systems that would supervise and monitor what they do, it's very possible for people to be compromised. And for me, we need to run a very open and transparent system where everybody would be able to check what it is that is going on. Get the citizenry also involved so that in their locality, they also know exactly what's going on, so that they ensure that these 300 odd small-scale miners that have gone back are going according to the rules that have been set for them. Okay. And then for even the small-scale miners, we need to use them also as part of the vanguard to ensure that no more illegality is happening where they are
Very
mining.
well. Very well. Thank you so much for your time. And that is Ken Ashibe. He is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. Many thanks for your time once again. You're still watching JoyNews Prime. We're taking a short break. Business is up next, but still ahead. 12-year-old girl paralyzed after she was allegedly defiled several times by a man she knew as her father's best friend, and she's seeking justice.
I am going to make a change before this will be So be that's what I say. Best no got tired. Oh, which I don't got tired. They are my name.
You're welcome back to JoyNews Prime. I'm Marba Kumson. Now, a 12-year-old girl paralyzed after she was allegedly defiled several times by a man she knew as her father's best friend is seeking justice. Since July 2015, when the case was reported, the alleged perpetrator of the brutal act is yet to face the law, following months of back and forth at the courts. Here's a report by my colleague, Justice Bedu.
Me teacher na mitimi chile nkwa na di na mitimi bisa nkwa na sam na so bi ya mbibia mitimi aka chiro.
A girl's wish, a wish that may be slipping through her fingers, a wish going away with time.
I am busy making change for this. So be that's what I say. Best no got tired. Oh, which I don't got tired. They are my name.
This girl is 13 years. I'll call her Dede, but that's not her real name. She's just getting back on her feet, learning to walk again. Dede says she was brutally raped on several occasions by her best friend's father. For 6 months, she was bedridden.
I can't say my single chain baby at all. Watch. Intimate coach and no saying you and a tom what you got and if a man could be at the watch. No, I didn't go bush more. I didn't go bush more. No call no me, son. We are not didn't call no make or die. If you were.
She says for 1 year, the man was always fingering her.
No KG2, no, then such a senasi. Sa kosi say Oko class 1.
Dede's guardian, we choose to call Auntie Coco, is frustrated that nearly 3 years since the assault, her perpetrator is yet to be brought to justice.
We call report to my police and Akrani Dahon we on free and say Bako. You call court no police in Siadin, no corner, but honey was an house here Bako court now. I jena house so I feel no baby date, ni baby you could dear someone. Until the young natural be free. Until one freya could see Yakoran, until Yakoran your call could be say, Courtroom, yes, a Yakran, Bako court to that burn or so. Court a frey and sa ya calling tea. Cottage ham.
In their home on the outskirts of Accra, I have a sit down with Dede. She wants to look into my eyes, but I can sense she is still scared. Tears dropping from her eyes. She tries wiping them away. The more she tries, the more they come. She's been in and out of school because of her ill health. Now, at age 13, she's still in class 3, 3 years behind her age mates and those she used to be in the same class with. As I left Dede's home, I drove with chills all over me. It leaves me wondering how the feeling would be for a poor 13-year-old. Justice Bedu, JoyNews, Accra.
Totally unacceptable. Now, a 4-year-old girl has been confirmed dead after she was defiled by a 34-year-old man at Isioko, a village near Asamankesia in the eastern region. The mother of the deceased says her daughter was lured by the man, only known as JC, into a neighbor's bathroom and had sex with her until she fell unconscious. Maxwell Apapa of our Gender and Social Protection Desk has more in this report.
I feel so much pain. I really suffered when I was pregnant. I was learning a trade then. I did not abort her. I finished my apprenticeship about a year ago. What did I ever do to him?
The pain and anguish of mother of the 4-year-old girl who was defiled. She had to sacrifice to raise her. It was Thursday. The victim was at her grandmother's residence playing with her friends when the suspect came for her. Mother of the victim says he took her to a bathroom, covered her mouth, and defiled her until she became unconscious. The victim was pronounced dead on arrival at Asamankase Government Hospital.
He took her to somebody's house outside a building. A resident caught him in the act, but for him, we wouldn't have known who committed this act. The doctor said he gave her some drugs and also covered her mouth and nose, and that is what killed her.
Mother of the victim says some policemen convinced her to give them 150 Ghana cedis, ostensibly to be used as transport fare to convey the suspect to the Nsawan prisons. She says justice must be served.
I gave them 150 Ghana cedis, but they brought 50 Ghana cedis to my mother. It was one of the court officers I spoke to who intervened. I want government to help me, just as he made it impossible for me to see my daughter again. I do not want his family to see him ever again too.
Meanwhile, the Asamankase Divisional Crime Officer, ASP Joe Adams, has denied claims that some policemen demanded money from the victim's mother. The suspect is now on remand.
Investigator, and he told me he received the pathologist's report yesterday and the body had been released to the family members for interment. If I couldn't give details of the result, and so I'm not in position to tell you what caused the death or any further thing.
What was the condition of the girl when she was sent to the Asamankase Government Hospital?
She was unconscious. She was unconscious after the alleged defilement by the suspect. She fell unconscious, and when she was sent to the hospital for treatment, the authorities pronounced her death on arrival. No, I've just checked from the investigator and his chief inspector. He told me he personally sent the suspect together with other two people to Sawo on police vehicle. And so if police vehicle is taking somebody to other place, we don't demand anything from anybody. It was a police vehicle that took the suspect and other people. And the investigator is vehemently denying the allegation of having collected anything from anybody.
The regent, Bolin Lana Abdullahi Muhammadu, has been outdoored at a colorful ceremony in Yendi in the northern region. It took the security over 3 hours to bring the huge crowd under control to pave way for his entry into the Durbar grounds. The ceremony was attended by government delegation led by the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapar. Well, earlier, the cloth and calabash used to bath the late Yana Muhammadu Abdullahi before he was buried were placed in the Royal Mausoleum. The ceremony, which was supposed to be carried out on Thursday, had to be halted because some sisters of the late chief were still occupying the mausoleum. It took the intervention of the Kampakuyana, the Regional Security Council, and the Otumfo Mediation Committee to get them out of the mausoleum for the ceremony to take place. Martina Bugri, our correspondent, has live updates from the grounds. Martina, good evening to you. Bring us up to speed on what's been happening today.
What happened today, let's take it from the afternoon. There's been dancing and display of culture of the people of Dagwon. We had various dance groups, we have the masquerade, and it was so hectic for the security to control the crowd. Several people thronged the palace to see the outdooring of the regent. And so we didn't even have time for them to have speeches because they had all the time to bring the crowd under control. And so by the time he was out, it was a bit late, and so they could not present speeches. But it was a beautiful ceremony, and then he was outdoored officially to the rest of the world as Bolin Lana Abdullahi Muhammadu.
So does this conclude the ceremony for the burial rites, or we are to expect more?
We have to expect more. There will still be dancing and drumming, some memorial service, some memorial lectures, among other activities that would continue until the climax on the 28th of December. I must say that when the National Security Minister left the palace with his delegation, they also paid a courtesy call on the Kampa Kuyana. The Kampa Kuyana told the minister that he was sad about the number of chieftaincy conflicts around the region, and it was his hope that chieftaincy contractors would take off their hands and leave them as a family, as a people, to resolve their issues. The National Security Minister told him that government would follow what tradition is laid down for, and so they would follow tradition to the latter. That's basically what happened today at Yendi.
Many thanks. Martina Bugri is our Northern Regional Correspondent, bringing us up to speed on the burial rites of the late overlords of Dagbon. We're staying in the Northern region because JoyNews investigations have uncovered how some midwives at the Tamale Teaching Hospital demand monies from Muslim fathers before they allow them to observe the Islamic practice of saying prayers in the ears of their newly born babies. The undercover investigation set for broadcast on Monday uncovered serious cases of extortion of monies by some doctors and other healthcare workers at the facility. JoyNews' Kwete Nate and Hashmin Mohammed discovered health officials do not issue receipts for these services.
For me, I don't understand the money they are taking from me that night, because I brought my friend's wife there to deliver, and then the time we deliver, he said I will come and pay 32 Ghana cedis and see the baby, or they use some medicine and put the woman, that's medicine, or they see after the baby seeing money they are taking. I don't know. That money, they no receipt.
Meet Wahab Karim. His wife delivered at the maternity ward of the Tamale Teaching Hospital. I met him on the corridor of the obstetrics and gynecology department. He's unhappy with unapproved fees taken from him by some health officials here. He's bitter as he walks to see his newly born baby. He wasn't given receipts for some bills he paid.
The others, I go pay and collect the receipt OPD 2 times, and then other one, he said I will go collect medicine. The medicine, some are not there. He said I will go for pay before I come, because health insurance is not covered that one. So I go OPD and pay everything and come. But the other 32 Ghana cedis there, I don't know the money they are taking. He said I will pay 32 Ghana cedis. So I give it to them.
It's customary for Muslims to say prayers into the ears of a newborn baby. But to be allowed to do this at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the new mother or husband must pay an amount of money. Wahab and the many Muslims whose wives have delivered here have had to do this.
They give the son to me to pray. After they pray in there, I give the money to her.
And did you demand a receipt for it?
No receipt at all. No receipt.
And did you ask them why they were taking that 32 cedis from you?
I didn't ask them. Maybe I think that they are collecting all that money here. I don't know. I didn't ask them, because they are doing their job. I can't challenge them. So that's why I give it to them.
And there are many more stories about extortion in this hospital.
Now, police in the Ashanti region say they are beefing up visibility in communities to reduce crime before, during and after the Christmas holidays. Command officials are particularly sounding a caution to users of unregistered vehicles to comply with road regulations to avoid a brush with the law. At the launch of the anti-crime program dubbed Operation Father Christmas, Deputy Regional Commander DCOP Fred Eduenim called for public cooperation to stem rising accident rates. Nana Senso Mensah has more in this report.
Personnel from various units preceded the launch with endurance march in Kumasi. DCOP Eduanim is worried about increasing rate of road traffic accidents.
Or dwell on this RT issue, the traffic accidents. I think the MTTU commander and the road safety are embarking upon campaigns and exercises to educate the public, to sensitize the road users, everybody, for him to know what we're supposed to do. But let me sound a word of caution to all drivers, that as far as I know, statistics have shown that most of the accidents, about 90% to 95% of the accidents that occur on our roads are due to human error. So the blame is always put on the drivers. So I want to use this opportunity to caution drivers that we are going to embark upon exercise. Motor riders, they are all vehicles, except that they have only 2 wheels. We are going to embark upon exercise affecting all vehicles, all manner of vehicles in the metropolis from this time to the Christmas and after the Christmas. So I can assure you, we do that and achieve results.
DCOP Eduanim assured residents of safety while soliciting public assistance to enhance police work.
We are also, in another sense, signaling to the criminals or the potential criminals that our presence should scare them or change them. Otherwise, if we fall foul of the law, our presence indicates how we can deal with you. That we are poised to, subdue all kind of criminality as far as this Christmas is concerned.
Okay, let's. Nana Asensu Mensah reporting. I don't know from Pao.
Well, here in Accra, the police has also pledged to beef up security and ensure citizens are well protected during the festive season. Commanding Officer of the Central MTTD Accra, ACP Anderson Fusuaka, cautioned drivers to exercise great caution on the road to prevent fatal crashes. ACP Anderson Fusuaka was grateful to some owners of BMW vehicles in Ghana who donated visibility vests to the Accra Central Police MTT Command to help them work effectively.
The police, especially the traffic police, we have put in place a lot of measures. Among them are, we've shifted our operative period, that is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We are going to work up to say 8 p.m. in the night, because look at the festivity, a lot of people will still be in town, a lot of drivers will also be in town. Aside that, we have put in enforcement teams at all the various intersections. Those no parking areas, no stopping, we are going to enforce the law. Drivers who don't have license, they should ensure that they have their license. Cars with one-hour tires, we are going to check all those things. And those pedestrians to our word is that they should use the approved routes, especially the zebra crossing and the footbridges in the metropolis, so that there will be safety on our roads. And overspeeding, people should not take the mood, that is the 25th, 26th mood, to be maybe for joyous move and they drive carelessly and dangerously on our roads. We should avoid all those things so that we have a safety and joyous festival. We don't want to hear of death and injuries. We don't want to hear of accidents almost every day during this period.
Well, the Vice President of the BMW Club, Ghana, Stephen Isun, speaks about what motivated his group to donate to the police.
So BMW Club Ghana is an auto club in Ghana, and what we believe in is not basically about the fun of driving BMW, but the best we can do for the nation as a whole. So now what we're doing is that as part of our yearly planned activities, we came up with an event dubbed Arrive Alive. Now, as part of it, we decided to come and make this donation, this visibility vest, to the Ghana Police Service, because we've realized their efforts in the industry, and they are one of the few people we have to help as far as this campaign is concerned. So we came to make this donation to them. And as part of this same road safety campaign that we're embarking on, which is Arrive Alive, tomorrow, being 15th of December 2018, the club will be at Accra end of Tema Motorway, where we'll be paying for the tow of 3,500 cars. Now, the chance is that we want to talk to you, the motorist, that please, when you are driving, drive safely and make sure you go and come home safe. Hence, Arrive Alive campaign. So this is what we seek to achieve. We hope that after this event, motorists and all those using the road will be able to calm certain things down and make sure they don't pose threat to other road users on the road.
Now let's go to Parliament, where the minority is disputing claims by the Minister for Roads that more than 3,000 kilometers of road network has been constructed in the country since the NPP government took over in January 2017. The minister told Parliament that more than 6.59 billion Ghana cedis has been invested in 258 road projects and 20 bridges. But the minority says this is untrue. Joseph Opoku-Gapo has more.
The minister told the House that the Ghana Highways Authority has done about 96 roads projects. The Department of Urban Roads has done about 63 of them, and the Department of Feeder Roads has done about 66, all amounting to 258 different projects amounting to more than 6.5 billion Ghana cedis since January 2017.
The ministry, through its agencies, have awarded 258 different road projects across the nation, little over 3,000 kilometers and 20 different bridges, totaling a little over 6.5 billion Ghana cedis.
But minority MPs are not convinced that much roads have been done in this country over the last 2 years.
And they should point to just one location of a completed project. He couldn't mention one. So the question is, where are the roads? In my constituency, they have not awarded any road contract in my constituency. Remember, I asked him a question. When they came, if I awarded 2 contracts in my constituency, they've abandoned this project, saying they are going to review it. As we speak, the report has not come. So I asked him, are those abandoned road projects part of the newly awarded contract? He said no. So the abandoned ones are there, and the new project, which is 258, show us one location so that we'll monitor and see if indeed if constructed the road. He couldn't answer.
If you take the whole of Upper East, there's not been any road that has been done. Indeed, if you look, this current budget, that in one of my areas, that's the Balungu Bongo, they have indicated that they intend doing that. Nothing has been done. So if they say they have done a total of about 3,000, I'm yet to see where in Upper East that they've done. But you know something that is more painful is this, that whilst they are even considering doing some in the future, and particularly, you know, this I know hydro, I know you people have followed over. You have my region, because you asked me about my region. You have my region not benefiting a cent from that. Not a cent. If you look at the total amount of money that is being devoted for the 3 northern regions, it's just 7.1% of the total sum. And meanwhile, when you are looking at the land size of these of the country, these 3, if you take the northern region alone and you then add the 2 upper regions, it gives you a very clear indication that in terms of even equity, that is not being done. Discrimination. It is discriminatory. It is based on the fact that, and I'll say this, and I'll say it with all the strength in me, look at all the areas they have put the roads. It is a clear indication of where they think they will have votes. And see, when you plan the development of a country based on those who will vote for you, that is a very sad commentary.
Meanwhile, the Energy Committee in Parliament is demanding more documentation from government on the enhanced Ameri deal being considered by the House before approving it. Energy Minister Peter Amewo withdrew the controversial deal that cost Boakye Japo his job from Parliament last month and laid a new one. Well, government says the new deal will save the country 51 million cedis. But a member of Parliament on the Energy Committee, Edward Bauer, says no money will be saved. Ms. Amewu met the committee on Friday over the new deal, but MPs say they are not satisfied with the documentation given them.
What has been the historical performance in terms of variable cost, or what has been the financial impact? They couldn't readily give us, even though, of course, we do know that it will never get to the 16.6 million. We are looking at it roughly around 5-something million thereabout, but they are looking at it around 16 points because we are looking at the historical performance.
So you asked them for
that document.
That document spelling out the financial impact of that.
Secondly, you realize that in the year 6, they said that they were going to have a discount of about 5% on the payments, the deferred payment, if they paid promptly. It meant that it was hinged on their repayment or maybe their payment performance. The only way to know that is what is their current performance in terms of payment to Ameri. We can only get that if we know what the indebtedness of ECG is to Ameri. So we can get that. So we've asked for the details of the indebtedness of ECG to that. Then we can inform ourselves on those particular ones.
But then, how did the meeting go? Was the minister able to convince you that there will be a lot of savings, even to the tune of $51 million as far as this country?
No, very clearly, between you and me, I can tell you very clearly that we're not going to make a savings of 51 million because the variable cost, there are even certain months that your variable cost will be zero. So it is not possible that you will use the highest possible variable cost that you will have for annually, which is 16.6 million, and use that to make a calculation and tell the nation that you are making a savings only on the variable cost of 41.5 million. So it is not true. So I think that Ghanaians should begin to start paying attention to the figures that they are throwing around, because we do know that based on the figures that we have, based on the historical data that we have, and based on even the understanding of how the tariff works, we know very clearly that we are not making a savings of 51.8.
So how much savings would be made?
Yes, so that's why we are making that's why we asked them to bring that document, because we know on the average it should be around, annually we should be making, in terms of variable costs, it should be roughly around $5 million. So if you are making your calculations based on 16.5 million, that is something that is terrible. That's
Now, it's a ticking time bomb. The Environmental Protection Agency has warned of a potential mudslide in Wager. It says it's imminent. Experts have warned that a heavy rainfall has the potential of a mudslide along the Wager Ridge that could bury many people alive. It would be disastrous if we sit unconcerned. It happened in Sierra Leone. The mudslide buried over 400 people. It was not a natural disaster, and cautions were given. The people ignored the concerns. Government of Sierra Leone didn't do much until the unfortunate happened. Well, back here in Ghana, the warning bells have been tolled, but it doesn't look like anyone is listening. Chiefs are still selling the lands. People are still building. Sand winning and stone quarry activities continue. It will take something more than mere appeals to get people who have acquired lands and built houses and are living in them in Accra, where land is almost equal to gold, to leave their homes because of a warning they have heard perhaps for their whole lifetime. The people would never leave on mere appeals and warnings unless there is a clear plan to deal with the looming disaster.
Times, because of the warning that, so you feel that it can happen. Every dies, all die, we die. Like Nanado say, all die, we die. So when you are at the down there, the earthquake, you can die. The same thing this place too, you can die. So all die, we die.
So what's the clear plan to avert disaster? What is government and those who have the responsibility to protect lives and properly doing beyond issuing warnings? With the fault lines being active for an earthquake, we hope that we will be proactive and not leave it to God.
Earthquake is a natural phenomenon, and it also helps to nature to regulate system. So we should not be worried. There's nothing you can do about this. You have to obey the building code and do things that will make whatever we do earthquake-proof. But nobody can predict earthquakes and when they will come and the magnitude of the earthquake. So we have to go on leading our lives and trust that God will continue to protect us as He has done for millions of years.
Here at JoyNews, we are demanding action. This is the JoyNews editorial. And on that note, we end JoyNews Prime. I'm Margaret Crimson. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely weekend.
This is JoyNews Prime.